Hey, New York, New Jersey. Hope you're doing great today. Looking forward to being with you in a couple weeks at Basileia. Just wanted to share with you a couple thoughts as we prepare for recruiting in this last big push, as we invite students to partner with us and to come with us to Basileia. You know, this year I have been reflecting on the parable of the workers in the vineyard in Matthew chapter 20. It's a great passage. It's a passage where Jesus says God is like the landowner who goes out into the marketplace over and over and over again to see if there are people who haven't found work yet for the day. And he invites them in to work in his vineyard. And then at the end of the day, even the people who only worked for 1 hour are given a full day's wage so that they can provide for themselves and for their families. And the way that when the others grumble, the landowner says, are you upset because I'm generous? And the parable kind of ends with that question. The takeaway for me is God is generous. God is not stingy. He doesn't hold back. He doesn't wait for us to get it together. God is a generous and abundant God who's waiting, who's looking out and waiting for the opportunities to show us his generous blessing. You know, as we think about these last couple of weeks before we start into Basileia, it can be really tempting for us to start thinking of God as, well, ungenerous. Somehow thinking that God is waiting for us to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps, to somehow drag students kicking and screaming to the conference with us, to solve all of the problems or issues or deal with all of the challenges of this time of year on our own, as if we somehow have to prove ourselves to God. And I want to encourage us as we move into this season of ministry that nothing could be further from the reality of God's truth for us. God is generous. God is abundant, and he is waiting to meet you, and he's waiting to meet your students at Basileia. So as you participate in the work that God's given you to do this week with joy, my prayer is that you will experience God in all of his abundant generosity. Now, I need to give you an update as to how we're doing in recruiting and some of our needs for Basileia, and I need your help. Urgently, we need about 22 students to join us for Work Crew Week 2. I've suggested a couple times over email that some of the students from Work Crew on the waiting list for Work Crew Week 3 might move over to Work Crew Week 2. And that might be a simple and elegant solution that gives those students the scholarships that they need, and then would also allow them to get the track that they wanted to get in Week 3. And I would encourage those of you who have students signed up for Work Crew in Week 3, which is closed, to consider that as an option. But for all of us, would you pray and invite students, even potential alumni or volunteers, to consider joining us for Work Crew Week 2. We need at least 22 more people to join us. And if we don't actually get those 22 people, we're going to be in a difficult spot. Also, students miss out on the scholarships that are generated for Basileia on those 22 spots. So if anything you could do to help us to recruit for that would be amazing, and it's urgent, and we need your attention. Please help us regionally think about that, and please engage your networks to invite people to consider it. And then the last thing is an update on recruitment. At this point, there are some tracks that are closing. I will send you an update over email where you'll have the numbers, but there's some tracks that are closing Week 2 and closing Week 3. We are still looking for at least 150 more students to join us at Basileia. I believe the Lord actually would delight to give us even double that. it would be consistent with what we've been bringing to Basileia over the last few years for God to bring 300 more students. But for us, really, even to make our contractual agreements and to fall within what we've promised Young Life, we really need at least 150 more students to join us. And so I would just invite you to be praying to that end, to be inviting to that end, and to be praying and petitioning the God who is generous, the God who is ready to meet students, ready to invite us into his vineyard, and then ready to reward deeply those who are willing to make the time to meet with Jesus. You know, Basileia is actually one of my favorite times of year. I love it. I love working together as a region and participating in this work that God does in the lives of students. Last year, we saw over 20 students make decisions to become followers of Jesus because they were invited to camp. I am excited about what God will do this year as we invite students, even seekers, even those who are visitors to our community, as we invite them. Would it be the case that God would bring many students to faith in him? So friends, this week I'm praying for you as you do this work that God's called you to do. I pray that you would invite boldly, that you would help us to recruit the 22 students we need for Work Crew Week 2 and for the 150 students plus. May it be more, Lord, that we need for the Basileia attendance overall. Praying for you. May God bless you.